Hi, Garrett Bloom, once again looking at the tyranny and the delusions of the social justice movement. So this is very much on the tyranny side, although you have the delusion of radical Islam, or like I like to call it, Islam, as the Prophet intended. So more on this day of rage or day of jihad that Hamas is calling for Friday. Yes, it's calling for Muslim countries in the region to attack Israel and for residents of the various countries around Israel, Palestinian supporters, to, in every way possible, attack and harm Israel. This takes additional troops and security measures, make things extremely complicated. But even more concerning from the Western perspective, the global international perspective, this Hamas call is for Muslims, the Muslim diaspora around the world, to engage in jihad themselves, right? To apply jihad on the ground rather than in theory. You've been told that jihad is the internal struggle against, your own personal. No, that there's two concepts of jihad and Islam. The predominant one, the most important one, is to fight the infidel. The other one, the war with yourself and your own personal failings, largely secondary. And this guy is not talking about, Muslims, the diaspora around the world, to confront their own personal failings. No, he's talking about blood. That's what he wants. And here's the rub. Across Europe, hundreds of thousands of people have flooded the shores of Europe. We know over 1 million gotaways, known gotaways into the United States. I talked about this previously, the terrorist threat. It is extremely conceivable that Iran, through Hezbollah, has, smuggled across countless terrorist operatives, right? Hezbollah operatives form cells in the United States. This might be the signal to them to launch attacks on Friday. Perhaps before, perhaps after, but get them spooling up. I worked at the Integrated Terrorist Assessment Center out of Ottawa, looking at the terrorist threat around the world and in Canada and Canadian interests. Liaise regularly with CIA, DIA, NSA, British intelligence, Australian intelligence. Always operational preparedness is key. But this could very well be the signal that these operatives are waiting for, right? The pressure is mounting on Hamas in the Gaza Strip. This is going to create all sorts of international chaos. Bombs started going off in Los Angeles and New York or Toronto and Vancouver or Berlin. Doesn't matter. People start dying. Islamic terrorism. This is going to cause politicians around the world, they get squeamish. They get like, this isn't our problems, all on Israel, and cause the erosion of support for Israel. And yes, over 1 million illegal gotaways. Goodness knows how many of them are terrorist operatives. And also the lone wolf phenomenon. This is individuals radicalized online and in small groups within respective countries. They hear the siren call to jihad and they can find a spot, to paradise. Right, 2 tickets to paradise. In this case, it might be a half a dozen young men strapping bombs to themselves or whatever, right? Lone wolves. They're extremely difficult to disrupt because you don't have this logistical chain leading back to various countries around the world. You don't have a broad nexus of people to disrupt. Very difficult to detect. So it can be a signal to international terrorist groups. And it can be a signal to lone wolves to wake them up, deciding for them to act and causing absolute chaos. And yes, open borders, unrestricted immigration of illegals. It's a dangerous, very dangerous situation. So anyways, who knows what's in store, but dangerous times ahead, because undoubtedly there will be people taking the opportunity, the day of Jihad, to express their murderous rage about the oppression they're experiencing as Muslims in Western European countries, in the United States, although they could go back to the shithole countries that they escaped from. Anyways, some quick thoughts on that. There's some dire times ahead in the Middle East and very potentially Europe and the United States. So thank you so much for your time and attention. Again, you want us to understand this poisonous Islamic ideology and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, check out my book, Deconstructing Social Justice, available on Amazon. Not important because I wrote it. I wrote it because the issues could not be more important. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Bye-bye now.